unveiling the histories of the most dangerous female prisoners, unearth stories of crime, manipulation, and horror that shock the conscience. Each tale reveals the dark side of human nature, where ordinary women transform into notorious criminals. Number 1. Mary Mallon, Typhoid Mary. Born in Ireland in 1869, Mary Mallon emigrated to the United States and worked as a cook for affluent families in New York. Mallon was a carrier of the bacteria that caused typhoid fever but was asymptomatic. She did not display any signs of the disease herself. This unfortunate combination led to her being a source of infection for several families she worked for. Her story took a terrifying turn when members of these households fell ill with typhoid fever, a serious and sometimes fatal disease without any clear source of infection. It wasn't until an investigator named George Soper was hired to trace the source of the outbreaks that the link to Mary Mallon was made. Despite initially denying any connection and resisting capture, Mallon was eventually confined by health authorities in 1907. She was forcibly isolated on North Brother Island, a small piece of land in the East River near the Bronx. This was the first of 2 periods of forced isolation for Mallon, the second coming after a brief period of freedom during which she caused another outbreak. Mallon became infamous as Typhoid Mary, the unwilling and unknowing spreader of disease. She was the first identified asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever in the United States, and her case has been widely studied in the context of public health and individual rights. Even though Mallon did not commit violent crimes, her unwitting role in spreading a deadly disease led to a high death toll. Her inability or unwillingness to stop working as a cook, thereby exposing countless others to the disease, and her resistance to cooperating with health officials paint a picture of a dangerous woman. Her story is a sobering reminder of how disease can turn an ordinary person into a threat to public health. It also raises significant ethical questions about the balance between individual rights and public safety. The tale of Typhoid Mary stands as a testament to the hidden dangers that can lurk behind the facade of normalcy, transforming a seemingly innocuous cook into one of history's most dangerous women. Number 2. Aileen Wuornos, Monster. Aileen Wuornos is a name that has become synonymous with female serial killers. Born in 1956 in Rochester, Michigan, Wuornos's life took a dark and twisted path, leading her to commit a series of gruesome murders that shocked the nation. Wuornos's troubled upbringing played a significant role in her descent into violence. She experienced a tumultuous childhood, marred by abuse and neglect. At the age of 13, she engaged in sexual activities and became pregnant. This marked the beginning of a troubled adulthood that would eventually lead to a string of killings. Between 1989 and 1990, Wuornos embarked on a killing spree that targeted men. She claimed that the murders were acts of self-defense, asserting that she had been raped or threatened by her victims. However, evidence and witness testimonies suggested otherwise. Her modus operandi involved luring men into secluded areas where she would shoot them at close range. Wuornos's crimes shocked the public not only due to their brutality, but also because of the unusual profile of a female serial killer. She challenged societal expectations, embodying the stereotypical image of a cold-blooded murderer. Wuornos's notoriety grew as her trial garnered media attention. Her fierce and combative demeanor, both inside and outside the courtroom, further fueled public fascination with her case. She became known as the Monster in headlines, a label that reinforced the perception of her as a dangerous and monstrous figure. Ultimately, Wuornos was convicted and sentenced to death for the murders. Throughout her legal proceedings, she maintained her self-defense claim, suggesting that her actions were a desperate response to the threats she perceived from her victims. Despite her assertions, her case sparked debates about the limits of self-defense and the psychological toll of a traumatic upbringing. Wuornos's story raises complex questions about the root causes of violence and the interplay between nature and nurture. Her traumatic past undoubtedly influenced her path, but the extent to which it shaped her actions remains a subject of debate. While some argue that she was a victim of circumstance, others view her as a calculating and remorseless killer. Aileen Wuornos's legacy is one of fear and fascination. Her crimes shattered societal norms and forced the world to confront the reality of female serial killers. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that evil knows no gender and that even the most unsuspecting individuals can harbor darkness within. Number 3. Myra Hindley, Moore's murderer. Myra Hindley, alongside her partner Ian Brady, is infamous for their horrific crimes that terrorized the United Kingdom in the 1960s. Born in 1942 in Manchester, England, Hindley's involvement in the Moors murders left an indelible mark on the nation's history. Between 1963 and 1965, Hindley and Brady embarked on a killing spree that claimed the lives of 5 young victims, ranging in age from 10 to 17 years old. The couple lured their victims, often targeting vulnerable children and teenagers, with offers of assistance or promises of excitement. The brutality and sadistic nature of Hindley and Brady's crimes shocked the nation. The victims were sexually assaulted, tortured, and ultimately killed before being buried on the desolate Saddleworth Moor. The couple's choice of location added an eerie dimension to their crimes, as the bodies remained hidden in the vast expanse, evading discovery for years. Hindley's involvement in the murders, especially as a woman, ignited intense public fascination and outrage. She shattered the perception of women as nurturing and protective figures, instead revealing a capacity for extreme cruelty. Hindley's actions challenged deeply entrenched gender stereotypes and left society grappling with the realization that evil could reside in anyone. Following their arrest in 1965, Hindley and Brady were convicted of multiple murders. Hindley's trial and subsequent life imprisonment became highly controversial. She initially maintained her innocence, later admitting her role in the crimes but distancing herself from the more sadistic aspects attributed to Brady. Hindley's attempts to gain parole were met with strong opposition, fueled by the heinous nature of her crimes and public outcry for justice. She spent decades behind bars, consistently denied release until her death in 2002 at the age of 60. The legacy of Myra Hindley and the Moors murders continues to haunt the collective memory of the United Kingdom. The case raised important discussions about the nature of evil, the capacity for rehabilitation, and the impact of childhood experiences on later behavior. It serves as a grim reminder that sometimes the most unsuspecting individuals can harbor unimaginable darkness within their souls. Number 4. Rosemary West, House of Horrors. Rosemary West, along with her husband Fred West, is synonymous with one of Britain's most disturbing and notorious cases of serial killings. Born in 1953 in Devon, England, Rosemary's involvement in the gruesome crimes that took place within the walls of their home sent shockwaves through the nation. The story of Rosemary West begins with her tumultuous upbringing, marked by neglect and abuse. Her troubled childhood set the stage for a deeply disturbed adulthood. In the late 1960s, she met Fred West, a charismatic and manipulative man who would become her partner in crime. Between the 1970s and 1980s, the Wests embarked on a horrifying killing spree, targeting young women and girls, including their own family members. Many of the victims were lured to their home at 25 Cromwell Street in Gloucester, England, under the pretense of employment or lodgings. Once inside, they were subjected to sadistic sexual abuse, torture, and ultimately murder. The true extent of the horrors committed within the West's house came to light in 1994, when a tenant discovered evidence of the crimes while renovating the property. The police were alerted and a thorough investigation ensued. Shockingly, the remains of multiple victims were unearthed, hidden in various locations within the house and its surrounding grounds. The West's crimes revealed a depth of depravity and cruelty that horrified the nation. The details that emerged during the trial were both shocking and macabre, painting a grim picture of the house of horrors that the Wests had created. Rosemary West's involvement in the killings raised disturbing questions about her complicity and her own capacity for violence. Some argued that she was a submissive and manipulated accomplice to her husband's sadistic desires, while others saw her as an active participant and willing perpetrator. In 1995, Rosemary West was found guilty of 10 murders, making her one of the most prolific female serial killers in British history. She received a life sentence, ensuring that she would never be released back into society. The case of Rosemary West serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind seemingly ordinary facades. It raises profound questions about the motivations and dynamics within violent partnerships, as well as the capability of individuals to commit heinous acts. The House of Horrors at Cromwell Street stands as a haunting symbol of the unimaginable crimes that were carried out within its walls. Number 5. Ilse Koch, the Witch of Buchenwald. Ilse Koch, infamously known as the Witch of Buchenwald, was a Nazi concentration camp overseer during World War II. Born in 1906 in Dresden, Germany, Koch's actions within the Buchenwald concentration camp left a lasting mark on history. Koch's role as the wife of Karl Otto Koch, the commandant of Buchenwald, provided her with significant power and influence within the camp. She used this authority to indulge in sadistic and perverse acts, earning her the chilling moniker, the Witch. Koch's cruelty and depravity extended beyond the already horrific conditions of the concentration camp. She reveled in tormenting prisoners, often subjecting them to brutal and degrading treatment for her own sadistic pleasure. Reports emerged of her ordering prisoners to be whipped, beaten, and even murdered. Additionally, Koch had a morbid fascination with human skin. She allegedly collected tattoos from murdered prisoners, selecting those with distinctive and elaborate designs. These grisly trophies were preserved and displayed, adding to the horror and degradation experienced by the inmates. Koch's actions drew attention and condemnation from fellow Nazis and camp officials. Her behavior was seen as excessive, even by the standards of the brutal regime under which they operated. Eventually, she was arrested in 1943 and stood trial for charges of murder, abuse, and embezzlement. During the trial, the extent of Koch's sadism was laid bare, shocking both the court and the public. Though her husband had been executed for his own crimes, Ilse Koch faced her own judgment. She was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. The case of Ilse Koch stands as a reminder of the atrocities committed during the Holocaust and the depths of human cruelty. Her actions within Buchenwald, particularly her sadistic treatment of prisoners and her macabre fascination with human remains, earned her a reputation as one of history's most reviled figures. The legacy of Ilse Koch serves as a warning about the capacity for evil that can exist within individuals, even in the seemingly ordinary or unassuming. Her actions underscore the importance of remembrance and vigilance in the face of such atrocities, ensuring that history does not repeat itself. While Ilse Koch's reign of terror may have ended with her imprisonment, the chilling impact of her actions continues to reverberate through the collective memory of the Holocaust, forever marking her as a symbol of the unfathomable cruelty inflicted upon countless innocent lives. Number 6. Judy Buenoano, Black Widow. Judy Buenoano, commonly known as the Black Widow, was a notorious American murderer whose calculated acts of violence shocked the nation. Born in 1943 in Texas, Buenoano's life was a web of deception and death, earning her a place among history's most dangerous female prisoners. Buenoano's reign of terror began in the early 1980s when her fiancé, Air Force Sergeant James Goodyear, mysteriously fell ill and died. Suspicions were aroused when it was discovered that Goodyear had been poisoned with arsenic. This revelation marked the first step in unraveling Buenoano's trail of murder and deceit. As investigators dug deeper, a disturbing pattern emerged. Buenoano had a history of forging documents, insurance fraud, and poisoning those close to her. The death of her son, Michael, in a suspicious car accident raised further suspicions. It was later discovered that she had tampered with the vehicle, causing the crash that claimed his life. Buenoano's motive was revealed to be financial gain. She had meticulously plotted and executed insurance schemes, using the deaths of her loved ones as a means to collect substantial payouts. Her modus operandi involved poisoning her victims with various toxins, such as arsenic and heavy metals, to simulate natural causes or accidents. In 1984, Buenoano was finally arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder and fraud. Her trial captivated the nation, as the true extent of her crimes and the chilling manner in which she had taken the lives of those closest to her were laid bare. The jury found Buenoano guilty of the murders of her husband, James Goodyear, her son, Michael Buenoano, and her boyfriend, John Gentry. She was sentenced to death, becoming the first woman to be executed in Florida since the reinstatement of the death penalty. Buenoano's case sparked intense interest and discussion about the psychology of female serial killers. Her ability to deceive, manipulate, and take the lives of those within her own family challenged societal expectations of maternal instinct and nurturing. Her nickname, the Black Widow, aptly captured the image of a woman who ensnared and destroyed those who came into her web. Judy Buenoano's story serves as a stark reminder of the capacity for evil that can exist in even the most seemingly ordinary individuals. Her crimes shattered the sanctity of family and trust, leaving a trail of devastation in her wake. Her legacy as the Black Widow stands as a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity and the profound impact of her calculated acts of violence. Number 7. Beverly Allitt, Angel of Death. Beverly Allitt, infamously known as the Angel of Death, is a British nurse who carried out a series of heinous acts within the healthcare system. Born in 1968 in Lincolnshire, England, Allitt's actions as a healthcare professional left a devastating impact on the lives of innocent children and their families. Allitt's crimes unfolded between 1991 and 1993, when she worked as a pediatric nurse at Grantham and Kesteven Hospital. During this time, a series of mysterious illnesses and deaths occurred among the young patients under her care. Initially, these incidents were dismissed as unfortunate and unpredictable, but suspicions eventually arose. It was discovered that Allitt had been deliberately harming the children entrusted to her care. She would administer lethal doses of medication, induce cardiac arrests, and deliberately manipulate medical equipment to cause harm. The victims ranged in age from just a few months to 5 years old. The shocking revelation that a healthcare professional, someone entrusted with the well-being of others, could commit such heinous acts sent shockwaves through the medical community and the public at large. Allitt's crimes challenged the very notion of trust and duty within the healthcare system. During her trial in 1993, Allitt was found guilty of murdering 4 children, attempting to murder 3 others, and causing grievous bodily harm to a further 6 victims. The chilling motivation behind her actions remains unclear, as she never offered a definitive explanation for her crimes. Some experts suggest that she may have suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a disorder in which an individual seeks attention by harming others under their care. Allitt's case shed light on the importance of vigilance and thorough investigation within the medical profession. Her ability to manipulate her position of trust and exploit the vulnerability of her young patients demonstrated the need for strict protocols and oversight to prevent similar tragedies from occurring. The legacy of Beverly Allitt, the Angel of Death, serves as a haunting reminder of the potential for evil to lurk in unexpected places. Her actions shattered lives and eroded the trust that patients and their families place in healthcare providers. The case continues to prompt discussions about patient safety, the detection of medical malpractice, and the protection of the most vulnerable members of society. The story of Beverly Allitt serves as a somber reminder that even those who are meant to provide care and healing can betray that trust, causing immeasurable harm. Her crimes highlight the ongoing need for vigilance, accountability, and safeguards within the healthcare system to protect those most in need. Number 8. Dorothea Puente, Death House Landlady. Dorothea Puente, known as the Death House Landlady, was a notorious American serial killer who preyed on vulnerable individuals living in her boarding house. Born in 1929 in California, Puente's life was marred by a trail of deceit, manipulation, and murder. Puente's crimes unfolded in the 1980s when she ran a boarding house in Sacramento. She targeted elderly and disabled tenants, many of whom were estranged from their families and lacked support systems. Under the guise of providing care and companionship, Puente systematically drugged and killed her victims, exploiting their vulnerability for her own personal gain. The extent of Puente's crimes came to light in 1988 when a social worker became suspicious after one of her clients disappeared from the boarding house. This led to a police investigation that uncovered a grisly scene. The remains of several bodies were unearthed in the property's backyard, revealing the horrors that had taken place within Puente's death house. The discovery shocked the community, and Puente's trial garnered widespread media attention. The details that emerged painted a picture of a calculating and manipulative woman who saw her tenants as mere pawns in her pursuit of financial gain. She had forged their signatures, cashed their benefit checks, and callously disposed of their bodies when they became burdensome. During the trial, Puente displayed a cold and unremorseful demeanor. She maintained her innocence, claiming that she had no knowledge of the bodies buried on her property. However, overwhelming evidence, including witness testimonies and forensic findings, linked her to the crimes. In 1993, Puente was found guilty of 3 counts of murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Her case became synonymous with the dark underbelly of exploitation and abuse of vulnerable individuals. Puente's actions highlighted the need for increased vigilance and oversight in caregiving institutions, particularly those serving the elderly and disabled. The story of Dorothea Puente serves as a chilling reminder of the capacity for evil that can exist within seemingly ordinary individuals. Her manipulation and callous disregard for human life demonstrated the depths of depravity that some are capable of sinking to. Puente's case prompted discussions about the vulnerability of marginalized populations and the importance of safeguarding their rights and well-being. Her crimes exposed flaws in the system that allowed her to operate undetected for an extended period, raising questions about the effectiveness of oversight and monitoring mechanisms. The name Dorothea Puente will forever be associated with the horrors of her death house. Her legacy stands as a stark reminder of the need for compassion, care, and vigilance to protect society's most vulnerable members from falling victim to exploitation and abuse. Number 9. Nanny Doss, Giggling Granny. Nanny Doss, infamously known as the Giggling Granny, was an American serial killer whose seemingly sweet and innocent demeanor masked a dark and twisted mind. Born in 1905 in Alabama, Doss's crimes sent shockwaves through the nation and earned her a chilling nickname. Doss's killing spree took place between the 1920s and 1950s, targeting those closest to her, her husbands, children, and other family members. At first glance, she appeared to be a loving and devoted wife and mother. However, behind closed doors, she was orchestrating a string of murders that would eventually be exposed. Her modus operandi involved poisoning her victims with arsenic, often disguised in food or drinks. Nanny Doss saw marriage as an opportunity to acquire financial security or escape from her current situation. However, as soon as she felt trapped or dissatisfied, she resorted to murder to regain her freedom. What made Doss particularly chilling was her lack of remorse and her seemingly joyful demeanor during her arrest and trial. She earned the nickname Giggling Granny due to her tendency to giggle and laugh inappropriately when discussing her crimes. This behavior only added to the macabre fascination surrounding her case. Doss's crimes remained undetected for years due to the inconspicuous nature of her chosen method and the lack of suspicion surrounding her. However, her actions caught up with her in 1954 when her 5th husband, Samuel Doss, became suspicious of the frequent deaths in their family. He alerted the authorities, and an investigation ensued. During her trial, Doss confessed to killing multiple family members, including 4 of her husbands, 2 children, her mother, and her sister. She showed little remorse for her actions, stating that she was simply tired of taking care of everyone. In 1955, Doss was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. Nanny Doss's case sparked both fascination and horror, as society struggled to comprehend how a seemingly harmless and affectionate woman could commit such heinous acts. Her story raised questions about the complexities of human nature and the masks we wear to conceal our darkest desires. The legacy of the Giggling Granny serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk beneath a pleasant facade. It highlights the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse and manipulation, even within the confines of the seemingly safest spaces, the family home. The name Nanny Doss will forever be associated with the chilling contrast between her innocent appearance and the malevolence that lay beneath. Her crimes serve as a stark reminder that darkness can reside within the most unexpected individuals, leaving a legacy of fear and caution in their wake. Number 10. Elizabeth Bathory, Blood Countess. Elizabeth Bathory, often referred to as the Blood Countess, is a figure of infamy whose name is associated with some of history's most horrific acts. Born in 1560 in Hungary, Bathory's legacy is shrouded in tales of sadism, torture, and murder. Bathory hailed from a powerful and influential noble family which provided her with wealth, privilege, and access to resources. However, it was within the walls of her castle that she carried out her gruesome deeds. Over a period of several years in the late 16th and early 17th centuries, she is believed to have tortured and killed numerous young women. Her motivations for these heinous acts remain a subject of speculation. Some theories suggest that Bathory believed that bathing in the blood of virgins would preserve her youth and beauty. Others suggest that she derived sadistic pleasure from the pain and suffering of her victims. Regardless of the underlying motivation, the extent of her crimes was truly monstrous. Bathory's torture methods were brutal and merciless. She reportedly used various instruments to inflict pain, including needles, scissors, and branding irons. The victims were subjected to horrifying acts, such as being beaten, burned, and mutilated. It is estimated that hundreds of young women fell victim to her sadistic desires. The Blood Countess's reign of terror eventually came to an end when rumors of her crimes reached the ears of the authorities. In 1610, she was arrested and placed under house arrest for the remainder of her life. Many of her accomplices were also put on trial and faced severe punishment for their involvement in her horrific acts. The case of Elizabeth Bathory continues to captivate the public imagination centuries later. The sheer brutality and scale of her crimes, as well as her high social status, have contributed to the enduring fascination surrounding her. She has become a symbol of female serial killers and a reminder that evil knows no boundaries of gender or social standing. The legacy of Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess, is one of horror and revulsion. Her crimes serve as a chilling reminder of the depths to which humanity can descend. The stories of her victims, tragically lost to her sadistic desires, should never be forgotten, and her name stands as a reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the human soul.